Bali is known as the island of the gods. Every day, millions of offerings are made, small woven baskets filled with flowers, incense, and rice, placed on doorsteps, in temples, at crossroads. They're called canang sari, and they're made to maintain harmony between the physical and spiritual worlds. The offerings feed the good spirits, keep them happy, keep them protecting the living. But there are other offerings, secret ones, dark ones, offerings that aren't made in public temples or family shrines, offerings that are made in places tourists never see, in temples that don't appear on any map, temples where the offerings aren't flowers and rice, they're people. My name is Maya Hartono, and I'm a cultural anthropologist from Jakarta. 3 months ago, I came to Bali to research a rumor, a whisper among the locals about a temple that still practices ancient sacrificial rites. A temple where people go to make deals with entities that shouldn't be contacted. A temple where you can trade anything you want, if you're willing to pay the price. I found the temple. I made an offering. And now I understand that some prices can never be fully paid. Some debts compound. Some sacrifices require more and more, taking pieces of you until there's nothing left but an empty shell that still walks and talks and breathes, but isn't really alive anymore. I'm recording this while I still remember who I was, while I still have enough of myself left to warn others, because the temple is still there, still accepting offerings, still granting wishes, and it's always hungry for more. If you are enjoying this story, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. There are plenty more stories on my channel, and I bring to you new stories each week for free. Thank you, and enjoy. I first heard about Pura Pengorbanan, the offering temple, from a woman in Ubud. I was interviewing locals about traditional practices, and she mentioned it casually, as if discussing the weather. My cousin went there, she said. She was dying. Cancer. Stage 4. The doctors gave her 3 months. She went to Pura Pengorbanan, made an offering, and the cancer disappeared overnight, completely gone. What kind of offering? I asked, thinking it was some herbal remedy, some traditional medicine the temple priests had prepared. The woman's expression changed, darkened. The kind you don't talk about, the kind that requires balance, life for life, health for health. The temple gives, but it also takes. She wouldn't say more, but she'd given me enough, a name, a location, somewhere in the mountains north of Ubud, accessible only by foot, hidden in the jungle where tourists never venture. I spent 2 weeks searching, asking questions carefully, following leads. And finally, I found someone willing to guide me. A young man named Wyan, who'd been there before, who'd made his own offering and received what he wanted. "What did you offer?" I asked him as we hiked through dense jungle, following a trail that was barely visible. He didn't answer for a long time. Then, "My brother. I offered my brother." I stopped walking. "What do you mean, you offered your brother?" "I wanted his life, his success, his wife, everything he had. So I went to the temple and I offered him. 3 days later, he had an accident, fell off his motorbike, died instantly. And within a month, everything that was his became mine. His business, his house, his wife, everything. That's insane. You're saying you killed your brother through some ritual?" "I didn't kill him. The temple took him. There's a difference." He glanced back at me. "You wanted to find Pura Pengorbanan. This is what it does. It takes your offering and gives you what you want. But you have to understand, once you make an offering there, You can never stop. The temple remembers, and it always comes back for more. We walked in silence for another hour. Then the jungle opened up, and I saw it. Pura Pengorbanan. The temple wasn't like other Balinese temples. No ornate gates, no guardian statues, no colorful decorations. It was ancient stone, covered in moss and vines, carved with symbols I didn't recognize. The air around it felt wrong, too still, too quiet, as if even the insects avoided the place. At the center was a courtyard with a stone altar, and surrounding the altar were offerings, hundreds of them, but not the traditional canang sari. These were different. Personal items, photographs, locks of hair, teeth, fingernails, and some things I couldn't identify, things that might have been organic once but had dried and twisted into shapes that hurt to look at. How does it work? I asked Wayan. You bring something that represents what you want to trade. You place it on the altar. You state your desire out loud, and then you wait. If the temple accepts your offering, it disappears, pulled down into the altar, and within days, what you asked for begins to happen. And if it doesn't accept the offering, then nothing happens. You're free, but that almost never occurs. The temple is always hungry. It always accepts. I stared at the altar. This was why I'd come to Bali, to document these practices, to understand how ancient beliefs persisted in the modern world. I needed to experience it firsthand. I'm going to make an offering, I said. Wayan grabbed my arm. Don't, please. I brought you here because you asked, because you paid me. But don't actually do it. Whatever you think you want, it's not worth what you'll lose. But I wasn't listening. I was already approaching the altar, already reaching into my bag for something to offer. I pulled out a photograph. My ex-husband, Daniel. We'd divorced 2 years ago after he'd cheated, taken half my money, and left me in debt. I'd never recovered financially or emotionally. The divorce had destroyed my career, my confidence, my life. I placed the photograph on the altar. I want everything he took from me, I said clearly. His success, his money, his happiness. I want him to lose everything like I lost everything. I want him to feel what I felt. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the photograph began to smoke, not burning, just slowly dissolving into gray vapor that sank into the stone altar. Within seconds, it was gone completely. The altar had accepted my offering. 3 days later, I received a message from a mutual friend. Daniel had been arrested, embezzlement, tax fraud. His company had collapsed overnight. His assets were frozen. His new wife had left him. He'd lost everything, exactly what I'd asked for. I should have felt satisfaction, victory, justice. But instead I felt empty, hollow, as if something had been scooped out of me along with the photograph. That night, I had the first dream. I was back at the temple, but the altar was different. Instead of stone, it was made of bodies, human bodies, all pressed together, all still alive but unable to move. Their mouths were open in silent screams. Their eyes followed me as I approached. And I realized I recognized some of them, people from the offerings I'd seen at the temple, the photographs, the personal items. These were the people those items had represented, the people who'd been traded away, the people who'd been sacrificed so others could get what they wanted. Daniel was there, pressed into the stone, his mouth forming words I couldn't hear, his eyes pleading. I woke up screaming. But the dream didn't end. Even awake, I could still feel them. The people in the altar, The sacrifices, they were connected to me now, because I'd added Daniel to their number. I'd made him part of the temple's collection, and the temple wasn't done with me. A week after Daniel's arrest, I started feeling strange, tired, drained, as if my energy was being slowly siphoned away. I went to a doctor, but they found nothing wrong. Physically, I was healthy, but I knew something was happening, something the medical tests couldn't detect. I returned to the temple, alone this time. Wayan had refused to take me back, so I followed the trail from memory. The altar had changed. Or maybe I was seeing it differently now. The stone looked organic, pulsing, breathing, and the offerings had multiplied. Dozens of new items, each representing a new person sacrificed, a new deal made. I understood then. The temple didn't just take what you offered and give you what you wanted. It created a connection, a debt, and that debt grew over time, demanding more and more payment. You're learning. I spun around. An old woman stood at the temple entrance, tiny, hunched, wearing traditional Balinese clothing. Her eyes were completely white, no pupils, no irises, just blank, white orbs. "Who are you?" I asked. "I am the temple keeper. I maintain the balance. I ensure the offerings are properly processed, and I collect the debts." "What debts?" "I made one offering, one trade. That should be it." She smiled, revealing teeth filed to points, an ancient practice I'd only seen in historical photos. One offering. But do you understand what you traded? Not just a photograph. You traded your ex-husband's fate, his future, his life force. And in doing so, you became responsible for maintaining that trade. The energy you took from him must be replenished. The temple must be fed, or it will take from you instead. How do I replenish it? More offerings, more trades, more people. The temple is always hungry, and now that you've begun, you cannot stop. If you stop making offerings, the temple takes from you directly your health, your sanity, your life. You become part of the altar, just like all the others who tried to stop paying. I felt sick, so I have to keep sacrificing people? Forever. Until you die, or until you find someone to take your place, someone to inherit your debt. That's the only way out. She disappeared then, not walked away, but simply vanished like smoke. And I was left alone in the temple, understanding the trap I'd walked into. I tried to resist. For 3 weeks, I made no more offerings. I stayed in my hotel, avoiding the temple, trying to break the connection through sheer willpower. But the temple took from me anyway. My hair started falling out in clumps. My teeth loosened. My skin developed sores that wouldn't heal. I aged 10 years in 3 weeks, and the dreams got worse. Every night, I'd see the altar, see the bodies pressed into it, see Daniel staring at me with accusing eyes, and I'd hear them screaming. All of them, the hundreds of people who'd been offered to the temple over the centuries, all still conscious, all still suffering, all still part of the altar, feeling every new sacrifice added to their number. I couldn't take it anymore. The pain, the aging, the knowledge that I was becoming one of them. So I went back to the temple, and I made another offering. I won't tell you who I offered, but it was someone I knew, someone I could justify sacrificing, someone who'd wronged me, or someone I convinced myself deserved it, or someone I simply decided was worth less than my own survival. The rationalization came easily, too easily, and it worked. My hair grew back, my teeth tightened, my skin healed. I felt young again, energized, alive, for 2 weeks. Then the drains started again, and I realized the truth. The more you offer, the faster the temple consumes you. The debt compounds. What used to last a month now lasts 2 weeks, then 1 week, then days. You have to keep offering more and more frequently, sacrificing more and more people, just to maintain yourself, just to avoid being pulled into the altar. I've made 7 offerings now, 7 people whose lives I've destroyed or ended through the temple's power. 7 people who are now part of the altar, conscious and screaming, added to the centuries of sacrifices. And I can feel them, all of them, connected to me. Their suffering feeds into my dreams. Their screams echo in my mind. I'm responsible for them. I put them there. This morning, I woke up and couldn't see my reflection in the mirror. I could see the room behind me, the bed, the walls, but not myself, as if I'm already becoming invisible, already starting to dissolve into the temple. The keeper appeared in my hotel room last night. "You're running out of time," she said. "Soon, you'll have to offer someone every day, then twice a day. The hunger grows exponentially. No one can maintain that pace forever. Eventually, everyone who comes to Pura Pengorbanan ends up the same way." "In the altar," I whispered. "In the altar, conscious, aware, feeling every new sacrifice added to your body, suffering forever, unless you find someone to take your place." How do I do that? Bring them to the temple. Convince them to make their first offering. Once they do, you can transfer your debt to them. All your accumulated sacrifices become their responsibility. You go free. They take your place in the cycle. So that's why I'm recording this. That's why I'm telling you this story. Because I need someone to take my place. I'm posting this online, on Reddit, on YouTube, everywhere. Telling people about Pura Pengorbanan, about how it grants wishes, about how you can get anything you want. Some of you will be curious. Some of you will be desperate enough. Some of you will come to Bali. We'll find the temple. We'll make that first offering. And the moment you do, I'm free. Your debt begins. Your countdown starts. And I can finally escape this nightmare I created. I know what you're thinking. You think you're smarter? You think you won't make the same mistakes. You think you can make one offering and walk away. That's what I thought too. But the temple knows human nature. It knows we're never satisfied with one wish. It knows that once we taste that power, the ability to change our lives, to hurt our enemies, to get what we want, we'll always come back for more. And even if you're strong enough to stop after one offering, the temple will take from you anyway. It will drain you slowly, aging you, destroying you, until you either make another offering or become part of the altar yourself. There is no winning. There is only delaying the inevitable, unless you transfer your debt to someone else. I'm going back to the temple today. My 8th offering is due, and I can barely stand. My body is failing. My mind is fragmenting. I see the altar even when my eyes are closed. I hear the screams even when everything is silent. I've chosen my 8th offering, someone I met at a cafe yesterday. A tourist, young, naive. She mentioned she was having problems with her boyfriend. I told her about a temple that could help. Drew her a map. Promised her it would solve all her problems. She believed me. She's probably there right now, placing something on the altar, making her first offering. And when she does, I'm free. The debt transfers. The countdown resets. I can finally leave this island, leave this nightmare, and try to rebuild my life. I'll carry the guilt. The knowledge that I've condemned someone else to the same hell I've experienced, that she'll go through the same cycle offering after offering, sacrifice after sacrifice, until she either brings someone else to the temple or becomes part of the altar herself. But I'll be free. And honestly, that's all that matters now. Survival, escape, freedom, even if it costs someone else everything. Maya's body was found in her hotel room 4 days after this recording was made. The official cause of death was listed as natural causes, though the body showed signs of extreme age, despite Maya being only 34 years old. Her skin was paper thin. Her bones were brittle. Her organs had deteriorated as if she'd been 90 years old. But the strangest thing was her face. Her mouth was frozen open in a scream. Her eyes were wide with terror. And witnesses who saw the body before it was removed said they could hear something, a faint sound, like screaming, coming from inside her, as if she'd become an offering herself, part of the temple, even without physically being there. The tourist she mentioned in the recording, the young woman from the cafe, was never identified. No missing person reports matched her description. It's possible she never existed. Or possible she's still in Bali, visiting Pura Pengorbanan, making her own offerings, starting her own countdown. Pura Pengorbanan still stands in the jungle north of Ubud. Locals avoid it, but occasionally tourists find it, drawn by rumors, by desperation, by curiosity, and the altar continues to grow, fed by offerings, fed by sacrifices, fed by people who thought they could make one deal and walk away. People who learned too late that some debts can never be paid, only transferred, only spread, like an infection, looking for new hosts, new offerings, forever.